What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 54 of the Yard Podcast. I'm your host, Randy.
And I'm your host, Konu.
And usually we'd have our producer, Ray, with us, but we are coming to you guys on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Had to cancel yesterday's show because I got my second dose of the vaccine and it absolutely kicked my ass and I couldn't record. So that sucked, but I will say I'm very happy to have it and be done. And now I just got my 2-week wait period and I will be fully vaccinated. So that 24 hours of pain was 100% worth getting it over with and knowing that I'm one step closer to being done with this mess. So
welcome to the vaccination club.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited. I've been waiting very long for this day. I'm glad to be here. But tonight's game, before we get into, I guess, what you could call the last week of baseball, we got Buehler on the mound versus Alzolay. The Dodgers are looking to avoid being swept. They are 2-8 in their last 10. And a little bit of some information, since we're all kind of like, I don't want to say panic mode, but we're all just kind of like, what the hell's going on mode. The Dodgers have lost, according to Sarah Lang, she put this out on Twitter this morning. The Dodgers have lost 4 straight series for the first time since August and September 2017, when they lost 5 straight series. So if you all remember in September 2017, when the Dodgers dropped, like, they went like 1-16 or
15,
something.
Yeah,
Something stupid. And we all thought the world was falling. I mean, that was like the one time I was very calm, because I was like, there's no way they're blowing a 10-game lead. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. And so we haven't hit that low point yet. So I'm looking at that as a positive. We headed we head back to California to play the Angels. So just need to not lose that series against them. However, they've been playing a little bit better baseball. So
and they always play the Dodgers tough anyway.
Yeah. So what we'll see. I'm hoping to not hit that 5 straight streak loss, but hey, we all know how 2017 went for us come playoffs, and should have won a World Series if we didn't get cheated out of it. So if the results end the same as in we are in the World Series and have a fair, legitimate chance to win, I don't think anyone will be focusing back on these April and May series to begin with. We want to be as positive as possible as we can on this podcast. However, when the Dodgers have a week like they did last, it's kind of hard to keep making up positives in
last like 2 or 3 weeks, honestly.
Yeah. This last week, I think this last week was just like, God, I'm over it. So it felt even worse. So we do have our negatives to talk about. We do have our Dave Roberts questions. Of course, that awful news on May we will get into. But because things have been a little rough, we're going to start with the positives. There are only a couple of them, but we do have some positives right now on the team. So we want to start with that. I think you and I are on the same page here with Matt Beatty and AJ Pollock. Both of them. I mean, I guess with Pollock, it's maybe you're more centered on one game, but for me, very quickly, I've been all in on Matt Beatty since returning from the alternate site. I wanted him up way before he came back. I was tired of watching Rios for quite some time, but to look at his numbers, he's reached 15 in 23 of his plate appearances since coming back from the alternate site. He's got 9 hits, 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 4 walks. He's been hit by pitch twice, and he is slashing 529, 652, 706 with a 1358 OPS, which is absolutely insane. I don't know what's going on, but whatever they did with him at the alternate site, send everyone there. We're not at the alternate site anymore, but yeah.
He's been absolutely unbelievable. I don't know what happened down there, but I'm glad it worked for him. That back and forth game between Pollock and Beatty about who's going to get the most RBIs that game, I thought it was a lot of fun. And it all started with Beatty beating out a slow roller, and I think that's the one where the pitcher missed the bag.
Yeah.
And then Pollock hit an absolute bomb for a grand slam, and then Beatty was like, my turn. So then he hit a grand slam the very next inning. That game has been the best thing about the last 2 weeks, hell, maybe even 3 weeks, honestly. So
that was a lot of fun.
For that, at least. Yeah.
I felt good. Like coming in Monday, I was like, hell yeah, taking on the lowly Cubs who've done just about nothing all season. Feeling good. I was happy. Like we had just only won 2 games in the last week. The one against the Reds and then the one against the Brewers. Only wins we picked up in the last week. And I was like feeling it after that game. I was like, it's time. It's turning around. Fun fact about that game, Beatty and Pollock became the first pair of Dodger teammates to ever have 7 RBIs in the game. Pollock ended up finishing with 8. So he did win that RBI battle. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. Beatty's putting up
great. He got robbed of one too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And he almost had, Pollock almost had that, the third home run too, that hit off the
Oh yeah, he
wall.
did. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's crushing the ball right now. Since April 24th, he's 11 for 32, slashing 344, 382, 656 with a 1,039 OPS. So Pollock has found whatever it is he's doing at the plate. And I think the bottom half of the lineup has kind of been figuring out slowly. Taylor has been doing well. We saw him get moved up into the cleanup spot for one of the games yesterday, but he's been kind of towards the end of the lineup. Luck's picking it up a little bit, but really want to see Beatty in that lineup as much as possible. I love seeing Pollock hitting again because we know how much that matters.
Okay, so here's my line of thinking in regards to Beatty. He's absolutely on a hot streak, and he's found like a good rhythm in the role that he's in right now. And obviously he could be used in that lineup, but the way things are going, it just seems like his at bats would kind of be wasted. Usually seems like the big spots come up later in the game. And instead of pitch hitting Rios or Lux, if Beatty were to start, I would prefer to have Beatty in that situation, obviously. Now, he isn't getting the at bats he deserves. However, I think him still being off the bench and coming in, whether it be the seventh inning in the big spot, eighth inning in the big spot, I think that will maximize the importance of his at bats. However, I will say he should be starting these spot starts that happen every week. So Rio started the second game with a doubleheader, and everybody was upset. And I was thinking, okay, he's just gonna save Beatty for an important at bat. Unfortunately, it was wasted because.
Yeah.
Good job, Dave.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
He should have stuck with Beatty. Even if Beatty made it out, Beatty was still the right choice. No disrespect to Noisy, but Beatty was the correct option, regardless of lefty.
Yeah, I didn't view of it as the idea that like right now we don't really have anyone on the bench as a threat, and Beatty's just about that only threat that comes off the bench. So that is one way to look at it. I did not view it like that. I think right now when the offense is struggling as much as it can, as much as they have been, fans are just like, can you put the hot bat in there? Because you never know what's going to happen. Like we need the offense. But I do understand the idea of having
it, but yeah, it's like my only fear is he ends up. Okay, so I mean they haven't been fantastic hits, but Lux has had 4 hits in 3 games. None of them really mattered because none of them were when people were on base because nobody was on base. So my only fear is Beatty continues to hit, but it's when nobody's on base, and then behind him is people who aren't really going to do much either. That's my only fear, and it just feels like it's a wasted at bat.
I think the biggest thing is not Turner, because Turner's been great. I think it's really about the top half of the lineup kind of figuring it out, because if they were doing their thing and getting on base, it'd feel a little bit better about getting Beatty in there and making sure guys are on. Looking at their numbers, they're not great, but if you look a little bit deeper, there are some positives to look at when it comes to Seager. Only Machado, Acuna, and Stanton have more hard hit balls than Seager this season, and a hard hit ball is registered at 95 miles per hour or harder. He's crushing the ball right now. It just like his expected
Stanton at like 98.
Stanton
makes contact.
I don't know what he's crushing the ball this year. But I mean, Seager's hitting the ball so hard. His expected batting average is like 303. He's currently batting 250. So the fact he's still hitting the ball hard is a good sign. It's just a matter of needing the balls to drop in. Mookie, we've seen him kind of pick it up a little bit, not to the levels we'd expect from Mookie, but he is picking it up. There is no denying that.
How many hits did he have yesterday? 3? Wait, my notes.
Three? Yesterday, I think he had two or all day. Yeah, I think he had 3. All day, I think he had the 3. He got robbed quite a few times.
Yeah, he has 3.
In Milwaukee. But however, since April 28th, he's 8 for 24 with 2 doubles, a home runs, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and only 4 strikeouts. And he's slashing 333, 429, 542 with a 970 OPS. So that's looking a little bit more like the Mookie we want to see at the plate. So I think if we have guys like Mookie and Seager in there, that's where things go well. When it comes to the top of the lineup now, before I go into this, I guess I should ask, did you have any more positives to touch on? Because that's kind of where my list ends, unfortunately.
Kind of, yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, Justin Turner's always. I mean, Justin Turner's been a little cold recently, but I still feel like he's hitting the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
And we know he comes up with big hits all the time, as we saw last night. Unfortunately, it didn't matter, but he comes up with timely hits all the time, so he's always a positive,
Yeah.
especially on offense.
Yeah. Yeah. My positives are trying to look for the positives in what have been a bunch of negatives. And luckily Turner has not been that all season. So, other
Also, I
guys,
will. Okay, so this is, I guess, kind of a positive. It's Trinan and Bauer do an absolutely amazing job of getting out of trouble. Now, they've been getting themselves into trouble quite a bit recently, but they have made fantastic pitches when it really mattered to get them out of it. Now, so like when Bauer gets into trouble, he gets out of it. He brings that fire and energy. And when he does that, so then even Trinan has been like showing some emotion as well. And I'm like, okay, now the offense will finally feed off that energy and momentum, only for the offense to go 3 up and 3 down on 8 pitches. So some positives. Thank you, Bauer, trying for getting out of trouble. And then the negatives are the offense doing nothing.
well, and to the offensive point of things, I was going to kind of say, since we were talking about the top of the order, and then we can get into the games and kind of go by what we've seen and what could change and what we hope to see. But since we were talking about the top of the lineup, something I needed to bring up was Max Muncy and the killer damage that he is doing being so high up in the order, really doing a whole lot of nothing. If you take away his 7th inning home run yesterday, I'm a little worried he might have become too passive at the plate, that he's going up there looking for a walk. He doesn't want to swing the ball, his bat, at balls that are very hittable pitches for him. His last 10 games, he's 2 for 28, 1 home run, 1 RBI, 14 walks, 15 strikeouts with a .071 batting average and a 588 OPS. His OPS is only existent because he's walking.
Walking, yeah.
I'm tired of seeing him in the 4 spot. I'm tired of seeing a guy who's not going up there looking to hit every at bat with guys on base not driving in runs. Like the amount of strikeouts that we've watched Muncy go down looking on calls that actually are not borderline, that are very much in the zone, is driving me insane. And I just don't.
He struck out 4 times yesterday.
Yeah, I just don't know how much more you could put him in the 4 spot. This isn't like last year where the rest of the offense is doing great and you can just leave Muncy in there, go, oh, he's going to figure it out. He's going to turn it around. Like, no. Like Muncy is absolutely killing the lineup when he comes up, and you have innings where like Seager and Mookie get on to lead off, and then Turner maybe moves him over and Muncy goes down looking, and then Smith flies out to end the inning. It's like, it's just, I'm going absolutely insane watching Muncy, and I feel bad because I could tell that it's bugging him more than anyone else. But it's just tough watching your 4-hitter go up there and watch pitches down the middle of the zone. He's watched
He had the
fastballs.
audacity to complain yesterday on pitches that were down the middle, and I was like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
What are you complaining about?
Yeah, I saw one and I was like, you are not complaining, because like you're gonna go back to the dugout and you're gonna feel like an idiot when you look at that call, because it was literally in your wheelhouse and you just didn't swing the bat.
Like I understand you're in a slump, but bro, just swing the bat.
Yeah,
You have no other option. Swing the goddamn bat.
That's my thing. Like if you were swinging and stuff, it'd be different. I'm just tired of like this passive feeling, like going up to the plate, like let me watch 10 pitches and get my walk. Like no, this offense does not need you doing that in the cleanup spot. If he's gonna draw
his leadoff spot, by all means, have a blast.
If you want to move him around, then move him around. But it just feels like such a waste to do this. And I know Taylor batted cleanup and hit into a double play yesterday, but it's like he hit the ball hard. It was a nice play. I think it was Bodie playing third base. It was a decent play. Like it happens. There's going to be guys who hit into double plays, but Taylor's up there swinging the bat and he's trying to put the ball in play. He's trying to do something where Muncy is up here waiting until he gets to 2 strikes and then swinging the bat, maybe fouling 1 or 2 off and then ending up striking out on a pitch he probably should have been able to hit.
Even Smith's been but at least he'll swing the bat. I know that he's not just gonna sit there and look at things.
Yeah, he is making hard contact too. So I will give Smith that he's had a couple pop outs, fly outs lately that are kind of like, okay, you maybe should have had that, but it has not been as bad as it has been watching Muncy. And another one, I mean, you want to talk about something that is just probably the worst thing to watch in the entire world? fuck God, put Corey Seager at shortstop and watch him try to field a ground ball to his right, because it is the most miserable thing to watch right now as a Dodger fan, watching him constantly not be able to make backhanded ground ball plays to the hole that just about every single other shortstop in baseball would be making. And yesterday, like we had in the game with Kershaw, like it's 1-0. And if he gets that ground ball, he possibly turns a double play to end the inning. Instead, it ends up becoming 4-0 because Bodie or whoever it was cleared the bases with a double. And it's just like, what are we doing here with our shortstop who can't field a ground ball?
Yeah, so we definitely need to have a serious discussion about his defense, but what can the Dodgers do about it? I don't know if he would move, but for argument's sake, let's say he's okay with moving, but where does he go? Now, I've seen fans say, oh, move him to first, move Muncy to second, move Lux to short, then Taylor can continue to move around and get starts all over the place. So I know Lux had a bad throw yesterday. As soon as he got the ball, I saw it slipping, so he probably should have just held on to it. But I'm glad to see it didn't affect him because the next few throws were around the money. My concern with Lux isn't the yips, it's his lack of arm strength. Now, we did see in spring training that he clearly has the range and he made some nice plays, even fantastic long throws. But in all honesty, because he lacks arm strength, there's going to be quite a few times where the throw just won't have enough on it to get there in time. And it's going to be an infield single anyway. Although I will say this, it shouldn't be a surprise. Lux is far more comfortable at shortstop than he is at second base. Anyway, so that's my only concern with that thing. And then if you move Seager to third, then what the hell do you do with Turner? His bat is far too valuable to not be in there, despite his defense lacking a little bit. So there just doesn't seem to be an easy fix or solution with what to do with Corey Seager.
I mean, and at the end of the day, even though all those suggestions could possibly work, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not telling you because I'm sure you'll agree. I think a lot of people might be overlooking this. There is about 0 chance that Corey Seager is going to move from a position like shortstop, which is one of the biggest positions to pay a guy at in baseball, to first base in a contract year, because you know how many teams are going to use that against him and go, you couldn't even finish off your final rookie contract playing shortstop. There's no way we are paying you a $300 million like Lindor, like Tatis, when you can't even play the position. I mean, not that Tatis is playing it either, but he's
Lindor.
I mean, sorry, defensively, guys. Lindor is playing it. Offensively, that whole thing that contract is. I don't know. We don't have to get into that because luckily it's not our problem. But Seager's defense is our problem. And he's only got 3 errors on the year, but I really think it's the ones that don't go down as errors that are killing the team the most. Yeah. Not making those backhanded grabs. And I don't know if he's too big. He's never looked flexible. He does not look like he can get down to the ball, unfortunately. Choice Fielder on Twitter actually had made a point that I had yet to think about, but he was wondering if maybe Seager's going the Harper route where he's worried about getting hurt in a contract year, so he'd rather sacrifice his defense.
But has he ever gotten to these balls? Is my question.
I don't think so. And I think he was talking to Chad Moriyama, and he made a good point back, which is that's fair. You could say maybe Seager doesn't want to get hurt, but the difference is Harper was guaranteed to play outfield no matter where he signed that contract, whereas Seager's not guaranteed to play shortstop. So it's if you want to continue being a shortstop, you have to show that you can play it. Because right about now, there's no way in my mind that the Dodgers are paying Corey Seager $300 million when he can't even play the position. Maybe it works in because they have a DH, but then you think next year, well, we have Turner. That's probably Turner's spot. So does Seager agree to move to third for 1 year? Do they have to go find someone in the offseason and sign? I'm not saying it'll be him, but just coming to mind, Chris Bryant. Do they sign Trevor Story, who's a free agent, move Corey over to third? There's just so much that goes into it, and it's nothing you can really fix right now during the season. Because you're not going to trade. Seager's bat's going to come around. So you're not oh, this guy, we have to trade. So they're not going to trade because you don't have anywhere to put Turner if you wanted to move Seager over to third and trade for another shortstop. Or like you said, move Gavin Lux. It's just, it's one of those weird situations that it's what do you do?
And my thing, okay, so again, I think Lux will do fine at shortstop, but it's the lack of arm strength is really going to come back to hurt at a point. And also, like you mentioned, there's no chance in hell Seager's moving to first base.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not going to accept it, especially not now. So I don't know what the Dodgers do to fix it, but something's got to be done, especially if reading the notes, not Harper. If Seager is not getting those hits and hitting the way that we all know he can and expect him to, his defense is becoming even more problematic.
Yes.
So don't know what the Dodgers can do to fix that, but hopefully they get something figured out with him really soon, because he's got to get to those balls. It is just unexcusable at this point for him to be missing them. Couple other unexcusable things, which is always hard for me because I have always been a defender of Dave Roberts. I love Dave Roberts. I think he's a great manager, and I'm starting to wonder, like, have his decisions always been this questionable? And maybe I just never cared because the team was so good that, like, they never came back to bite him in the ass as much as they seem to have this year. Or are the mistakes that he's making just, like, actually that bad in 2021, where it's like, no, even if you did this in other years, this would have been an issue, or no, in other years, the team was just able to pick you up, where this year they are not. Because Roberts is making some really bad calls.
I think it's where in previous years, the teams can pick them up or that player ends up coming through. But right now, since they're in a really like a bad stretch in a funk, it honestly, I don't think it matters if he made the right choice. Like, for example, if he keeps Beatty in instead of putting Noisy in, let's say Beatty gets out, people are still going to be upset about it. If we're being honest, they're going to be like, well, why don't you go with the lefty righty matchup, even though Beatty's probably the better option. So even if Beatty makes it out, people are still going to have issue with it. It's just more the fact that because they're in a rough patch, everything's glorified and everything looks worse.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's just really hard to look at that because you're right about the whole Beatty Noisy thing. People would have been like, it's just hard for me to be like, how do you burn the hottest hitter that the Dodgers have and just completely waste him? Like, to even go into that situation and go, well, maybe I want to bluff David Ross into making a move. Like, you could have, there had to have been someone else. Was there not? Maybe not. Then just throw Noisy out there and let him bring in a lefty if they want to, or bring Noisy out there and just let Noisy take the at bat against the righty and see what happens. Because I feel like it should
have been Ruiz. I'll say it should have been Ruiz.
I think Ruiz should have been in game 2 in the top of the 9th when there were runners on first and second and Ruiz sitting on the bench. And for some reason, Barnes comes in to pinch hit. I know Ruiz is a switch hitter. So I know the guy can bat righty. I know he's better lefty, but, like, really, Barnes was the answer there, not Ruiz. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm thinking. Like, we just saw Ruiz take his first at bat, yes, as a lefty, hit a home run in that first game. Like, are we really that worried that a guy who's known for, like, his hit tool being contact, that, like, he can't go up there as a righty and put the ball in play and, like, maybe drive home a runner from second? Because that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, your hit tool is known to be a contact. He's not a power hitter. Yet his first 2 not big league at bats, his first 2 season debut at bats were home runs from the left-handed side. That's fine. I do not care. But why are we bringing in Austin Barnes, who really hasn't shown, besides a couple moments very early on in the season, that, like, he can handle this? Those are the questions that are driving me insane. Yeah. And, like, 14 innings against the Cubs and we don't see Beatty once. That is wild to me that we did not see Beatty once in 14 innings against the Cubs.
I'm going to tell you what I thought was the most egregious part. It was in the first game. I don't remember what inning it was. The Cubs are winning 4-0, but Lux and Barnes just had back-to-back 2-out hits. And Roberts fucking puts in Rios.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what inning that was, but yeah.
What are you... So, even if you think, oh, Rios is going to make this 4-3, what swings have you seen that shows you, oh, this is even a possibility at this point? Put Beatty in. He has a better chance of driving in a run, even if it's just a single. At least get on the board and get some momentum going. It just boggled my mind that he threw Rios out there, and I was just like, hey, bro, what?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I this whole, like, thing with Rios is driving me insane. And I don't get what it is. And it actually segues me into our unfortunate next negative. But I think it might have been Clint or Brooke. on Twitter. I don't remember entirely if it was one of them, but someone had jokingly said, or maybe they weren't joking, but they were like, is Roberts just giving Rios this start is like a, hey, you're not going to be on this team much longer, so enjoy it while you can, which like any other time of the, like maybe at any other point, I would have found that funny. Right now, like, I don't care if that's, I don't care if that's why you're doing it. Like, no, Rios, sorry, I almost said Ruiz. Rios has done nothing to prove that he deserved a start in an at bat. I do not care if he could play third base. Move Muncy to third and put freaking Beatty at first base if you have to. I do not care. Put Taylor at third, put Beatty in the outfield. I do not care. There was no reason.
Yeah, what happened to that? They were talking about Taylor playing third, and I know Bellinger's hurt, so that kind of put a wrench in it, but like he hasn't played third at all.
I don't know. You could put, I don't know. You could have put Mookie in center, Beatty in right, Pollock in left. I don't know. But how you decide to go for Rios, who was 0 for his last 31. The guy hasn't had a hit since April 13th. It's been almost a month since this guy's had a hit with 12 strikeouts and 4 base on balls, yet we are still seeing him get starts in the starting lineup. I'm all for sending him down. My only question is, who the hell do they bring up to replace him? Like, we saw DJ Peters, that was a disaster. Like Luke, no, I don't even know who to bring up, because it's really like not having McKinstry or Bellinger is absolutely killing us.
So Rios plays what, first and third?
Yeah.
If you're trying to go off of that, I guess you can still bring up an outfielder and just have Taylor play the infield in his spots, but I don't know. Maybe Zach Rex, try to give him a shot, but I don't know.
Damn, dude, throw freaking Barnes at, like, I don't care. Throw Smith at third base and get Ruiz in behind the plate. Like, I do not care.
This man Smith has played third and second in college and in the minors.
Like,
I'm not sure why he's not doing it.
Like, I don't care if Smith is not going to be great at third. Get him in there, I guess, something. Like, Barnes can play second. If Smith needs a day off, get Ruiz. Like, I don't care. Just find a way to keep Rios out of the lineup.
Yeah,
because
it's definitely time for Rios to head back to Oklahoma City and work on an approach in his swing path, because he's having a very hard time. I get it. Baseball is very difficult, and every player goes through struggles, sometimes elongated struggles, but this is brutal.
Yeah.
And, sometimes players show signs of, they're not getting hits, but you can look at them like, okay, it's coming along. Like with Bellinger last year and Smith last year as well. There's not even signs of him doing that.
Yeah, there's nothing to look at and be positive about this. That's like, hell yeah, you're heading in the right direction. Keep pushing it. And when the team is struggling, somehow we're only, like, the way these last couple of weeks have gone, you think we'd be sitting at the bottom of the NL West, and we're only like 2 games out of first. It's wild how hot the team started off the season, that they're still right there, considering how they've played. But yeah, I can't justify putting Rios in there when the team is struggling. Again, if this was a situation like Muncy last year where the whole lineup is hitting and it's just Rios, I'd be like, screw it. I don't care. It's one at bat. But no, it's like basically the entire lineup right now outside of like Turner, Pollock, and Beatty. And Beatty's barely even playing. So that one sucks. On the just a couple other unfortunate notes, the bullpen arms, complete disaster. We've got Knebel, Gratterall, Gonsolin, Kelly, and Price, all relievers on the IL. Canely as well, but he was never really expected to pitch in 2021 for the most part. So don't really know what's going on there. Just with the bullpen, we talked yesterday or the day before, Shane Green is still a free agent. I would very much like the idea of the Dodgers maybe checking in there to see what's going on, because injury stints, the IL stints are at an all-time high, and I 100% believe most of that has to do with last year not having a full season. We have seen an insane amount of like players being put on the IL, whether it's superstars like Christian Yelich is right back on the IL after only being off for 1 day. Soto's
back too, so that's going to be tricky.
Yeah, like Soto's finally back, coming off the IL. Cunha was hurt for a couple games. Like, it just seems like everybody's going down at this point, especially pitchers.
This person I'm going to name is not known, but if you guys take a look to watch some of his games, he is incredibly fun to watch, and that's Jazz Chisholm of the Marlins. He's hurt, which is unfortunate, but when he's playing, I promise you guys, you won't regret watching him play.
Yeah, he's a ton of fun. Like we're losing like a lot of ton and exciting players right now, all across baseball. And there's not one Dodger fan who doesn't know this, but I think we lost a major, not even just a fun piece to watch, but a key piece to this rotation and to what felt like was going to be part of the success was this year with Dustin May. Yeah, that one super tough. Came out of that game on Saturday. We saw him throw a fastball that unfortunately only came in at 94, and he immediately went to his arm. The last thing you ever want to see a pitcher do. You could tell it was not good. He was dropping F-bombs. You could tell on the broadcast if you were reading his lips. And unfortunately, on Monday, they announced he would be having TJ surgery on May 11th, which is officially ending his season. And we will be lucky if we even see him on a mound before 2023.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be back next year. I know a lot of fans think that's possible. I would not put any hope into that whatsoever, especially because he is young. There's no reason in rushing him back. They are going to take their time, especially with someone who throws as hard as he is. They are not going to throw him back up on the mound right away. So that was a major loss for the Dodgers. Probably the biggest one to this point. Hopefully the biggest one all season, because I can't imagine what else would have to happen to be bigger than that. Actually, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah,
but
that news just felt deflating. Like,
I was like sad. Like it wasn't even like a shit, like we're not going to be good. I was like legit sad. Like, damn, like this kid's finally figuring it out. He's looking like a pitcher on a mound, not just someone who throws the ball hard. And he was figuring it out with his breaking stuff, his four-seamer. Like it was starting to look.
Missing all his pitches. That's all I've been asking for.
Yeah, like this is a big loss, like for baseball, not just Dodgers, not just like baseball in general, because a lot of people were very bummed out of this. Even like people from other fan bases like were just distraught over this happening, like super bummed because of how good May is. And that kind of leads us into who the hell takes over that rotation spot, because it's not going to be Gonsolin, not going to be David Price, at least not now. Like it could be maybe in a month, but it's not going to be Gonsolin. It's not going to be Price. So
well, they said they were going with a 4-man rotation till mid-May.
Luckily, we have 3 off days in the next week, so that somehow worked to our benefit, that the Dodgers don't have to struggle too much. We all
know Kershaw went 1 inning, so he should be able to get back in there pretty soon, I would hope.
Yeah. He said after the game that he didn't talk to anyone about going on short rest. I don't know if I believe him. Otherwise, what is the purpose of Roberts pulling him out of the game after 1 inning if you're not going to go on short rest? A lot of people did not understand that move by Roberts, especially with a depleted bullpen as is, having to go 5. I kind of understood what he was doing though, because it does, like, why keep throwing Kershaw out there and potentially like wasting his start when you could go, hey, we need a starter and possibly start on Saturday on short rest.
Plus, he was hoping to probably get like 6-7 out of Bauer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So we'll see what happens there. They might be able to get away with it. We all know Bauer wants to pitch on short rest. He's made that very obvious. So I would not be surprised to see that come into play once or twice throughout out of all of this. Hopefully Gonsolin is back soon. He's not expected back for at least 3 to 4 weeks. They want to build him up, and they want him at 5 innings or 75 pitches. They do not want to bring him back until he is built up as a starter. So my guess is he takes over as soon as that is an option. For the time being, we might see Mitch White get a start here and there. We might see Edwin Uceta get a start here and there. They did say no Josiah Gray as of now. Who knows as the season goes on. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting time as a Dodger fan.
Gray pitches Thursday for the Oklahoma City.
Okay, yeah. So we'll get some idea of where he's at on Thursday. I really don't know what they're going to do here. It's going to be interesting. It's not something we have to.
It's probably going to be White and Uceta just to get a few innings out of. They're going to be bullpen days for the most part.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So get well soon, Gonsolin. We are going to need you because we're going to need someone to take over May's spot because We had what, like 7 or well, and there's Jimmy Nelson. He's just not really built up to be a starter. But they could get him
Bobby
into
Miller. That's my option. Bobby Miller.
yeah, straight jumping from high A to the big leagues.
No, it wouldn't be a good idea. Maybe not, but it'd be fun to watch though.
This is something that we're not used to as Dodger fans. Usually we're like, oh, someone's hurt. Cool. Next man up. This is definitely the most, like, I think I said it to you. This is like the worst injury we've dealt with since Corey Seager blew out his elbow, because that was like oh God, we really do not have a legitimate replacement, and ended up trading for Machado.
That's another thing is I see a lot of people talking about like the Dodgers lack depth, but I don't think, yes, they've had injuries before, but not all of them have been in such a short span like the ones have been right now. So you're having to rely on Rayleigh, Rios, Peters, especially in that Padres series, and that fucking sucked. Plus, you have to have Taylor and Pollock in there every day, which takes a big bat off the bench. So once they get healthy, having a bench unit of McKinstry, Beatty, Barnes, Pollock, and Lux looks a lot better than Rios and Noisy. So like when some of those players start, and then when some of those bench players start, then you'll have big bench at bats like Turner, Taylor, Seager, Belly, etc. Hell, if you want, you can send Lux down to work on things, and then Noisy can fill that role, only to be used sparingly, of course. But the injuries have definitely been costly. But hopefully it'll end soon, and the Dodgers find themselves closer to that 13-2 run than the one they're currently on, because it's not fun.
Yeah, you make a good point about like the depth thing. Is I don't know when the last time we had to deal with this many injuries all at once. And people keep saying like, oh, we need Jock, or oh, we need Kike. And it's like, you could say,
that man Jock batting 115. I don't hear nothing.
I don't care. Yeah, no, we're not. No, I definitely
and it's not October, so we're good.
And I get what people are saying, but what you say about the depth, like that's where it comes into place. We could say that Beatty replaces Jock. Okay, cool. You want to say we need Kike? Guess what? We have that replacement, but he's hurt. So really, we have that backup. We have those bench players. The problem is they're just hurt now, which is not what we're used to. So no, having Kike would not have mattered if Kike was McKinstry and Kike got hurt too. So it's just bad timing right now. But my God, am I happy it happened in April, or April/May. I just hope come June we're rolling out of this, and we've got Belly, we've got McKinstry, we've got Gonsolin. Price will be making his way back from the hamstring and all of that kind of good stuff.
The thing about McKinstry though is, when is he supposed to be coming back? Because I saw an article yesterday saying he hasn't even swung a bat yet.
Well, no one knows, because it's an oblique, and obliques are a pain in the ass because you can't swing a bat with a bad oblique. Can't really do much of anything with a bad oblique. So I don't know. Again, obliques stress me out because
obliques, hamstrings, and backs just tend to really fuck players up.
Yeah, like the oblique thing.
Even if they come back, it could just be one swing, and all of a sudden they're back to being on the IL.
Hey,
Christian Yelich.
Shout out Alex Verdugo. That's what happened to him. Had the bad oblique, went and swung in a game, broke his back, and he was out for quite some time. So, hey, Zach McKinstry, don't do that. Don't come back until you're 100% ready to do that, because I don't know if this team's going to make it without a bench. So please don't do that. But couple performances over the last week of games that I did want to kind of look over very quickly. Not a ton of great ones. We saw Buehler on Tuesday, unfortunately, just get like rocked by the Reds. He went 6 1/3 after having that great performance the week before against the Padres. He went 6 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs. He did have a season high with 10 strikeouts. So I don't really know what happened. Just didn't totally have it. He was striking guys out, yet he was still giving up a ton. He gave up the leadoff.
That's been the Reds all year, though. Struck out a lot, but hit a lot.
Yeah, because he gave up a leadoff home run to Winker, and then he set down the next 9 straight, and 6 of them were strikeouts before he gave up another hit. But then they kind of kept going, did their thing. Dodgers kept it close, scored 5 runs. Really only thing from that game that stuck out was Smith had a home run, 3 RBIs, Beatty, 2 RBIs that game. And unfortunately, offers for Mookie, Seager, and Lux. Never want to see that. It is never a good day when Mookie and Seager both have over days at the plate. Not going to win many games that way, I do not think, unless the rest of the offense is completely going off. Kershaw, hell of a start versus the Reds. The Dodgers won 8-0. He went 7 innings pitched, which we needed because we were on the verge of being swept once again. We are now, in case you didn't know, tonight's game against the Cubs, this is the third series in a row where it'll come down to the final game where the Dodgers have to avoid being swept. So good times there. Kershaw saved us on Wednesday. Urias saved us on Sunday. And now Urias and the offense saved us on Sunday. And now hopefully Buehler can save us tonight. But on Wednesday, Kershaw went 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 0 earned all around, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, and he recorded 22 swings and misses on breaking balls, which tied for the most in a single game in his career. And he also threw 7 scoreless innings for the 58th time in his career. Unfortunately, his next outing out against the Cubs, he had another couple first-timers. Don't really need to get into that too much, but not a great day for Kershaw on the mound.
His command wasn't good, and Seager didn't help.
Yeah, Seager. Yeah, I still want to blame Seager a lot for that. If he plays defense, Kershaw definitely would have.
He's technically just 1 run, right?
Yeah, it would have only been 1 run. That would have been an inning-ending double play had Seager made that play. But that big 8-0 win, we saw Betts kind of get it going a bit, 2 for 5 with an RBI. Taylor, decent game. He had 2 runs, 2 walks, and he went 1 for 2 with an RBI. Pollock, another big game for him, 2 for 3. Muncy, another 0-4. Lux, another 0-4. So Beatty, pinch hit, went 1 for 1, 2 RBIs. So Beatty continuing to do his things. Guys like Muncy and Lux, not a great start for Lux. Luckily got going a little bit in the Brewers and then that game against the Cubs. And then we saw Bauer versus Lauer. That was a tough one because Bauer went the distance. That one really sucked, and he only gave up 2 earned runs. So we went 8 innings and only gave up 2 earned runs. Unfortunately, that home run to Shaw. That was
the only way he's giving up runs.
Yeah,
if he doesn't give up home runs, then I think he's good to go.
Yeah. That
he really buckles down.
Unfortunately, was just not a game for the offense. Funny enough, they scored their only runs against Hader, who hadn't given up a run all year until the Dodgers. So it's like, of course, you guys waited till the 9th inning to get it close and get the.
And then they did it to Kimbrel.
Yeah, yeah, they're out here hitting against guys that don't give up runs, and then not hitting against guys who don't play in the big leagues, except for that one game on Sunday. Friday, awful game. Edwin Uceta, not because of him, but he made his MLB debut. He went 2 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. He did give up a home run, but that one was tough. We had no Mookie in the lineup, and the Dodgers only got 2 hits all game. Good for them. Good one. Dodgers always going to win lots of games when you only get 2 hits. Pollock had a home run that game. That's kind of when he started heating up a bit in Milwaukee. There was something in the 8th inning when Roberts got ejected for chirping out of the dugout. Angel Hernandez at first base for that check swing, which was not a check swing. Taylor did not go around. And Roberts got ejected, then came out, kind of went at it with Angel Hernandez. There were a lot of fans that were like, hey, Roberts should have done this much sooner. I just kind of wonder, like, if it would have really mattered, because to be 100% honest, this team looks like they have zero fire and fight in them right now. Nobody looks like they're having fun. Nobody even looks like there's just something going on in that dugout that it's like, even watching as a fan is like, God, you guys are just like no energy. It's completely drained. Yeah, no excitement.
They seem like they're just on cruise control right now. They're just really going through the motions. I mean, maybe they end up like those championship Lakers teams that just coast through and then turn it on when they need to, but who knows at this point. I guess the saving grace is that these losses aren't really big losses. They're pretty close. So, I mean, a little luck, and all of a sudden they're back on a winning track, hopefully.
Yeah, that is one way to look at it. Like, when you lose so many one-run games, they're tough. But at the end of the day, you're like, damn, we only lost by 1. Had the team actually just played the way they're capable of, that's an easy win. And the same thing could be said about that Saturday game when May pitched and unfortunately had to come out of the game with the injury. But, like, that same thing. The Dodgers got up early on Woodruff, what is not an easy thing to do. Betts led off the game with a home run. Unfortunately, tied it right back up in the 2nd inning when Luis Urias had a home run. So it just kept going back and forth, and we even go to the 11th inning, and the bullpen just blows it, which I don't want to blame it too much on the bullpen here because May did have to leave the game early. So that put a ton of pressure on the bullpen early on to get it going. When you only get an inning and 2/3 out of your starter and you're expected to get 5 or 6 innings, it can make things very, very difficult. They once again battled against Hader, just couldn't get anything done. That was another tough one. Bessia got left in there, I think, a little longer than he should have, but they really did not have any other options at that choice or at that
The
point.
thing about Vessia is actually, I think people can see he has potential, but he has present and clear command issues as well. But again, there's enough there to be like, okay, he's got something, so he needs to be sent down so he can fine tune some mechanics. And that way, when he comes back, I mean, he has to be here now, but it's unfortunately, so he really can't really work on these things. But
yeah,
him being sent down to work on a few things, I think would be good for him.
There's a couple of these guys I feel for a little bit who like maybe shouldn't be up here just yet, and you can tell are struggling, but like it's not their fault. Like they really probably should not be with the big league team yet. They just don't have much of a choice. Like Bessia, White, Clevenger, guys like that who are like fringe guys who are right there and maybe very close to making the big league roster and just need to get in a little bit more work.
To be fair to White's been pretty good.
He has,
except for yesterday.
Yeah, he has. I don't want to take it away from him. He has been decent. I want to
talk about that too.
Yeah,
yesterday was. I don't know whose fault it was, but it was bad.
We're almost there. I'm gonna get into Sunday very quickly because not that there's much to talk about. We all saw Dodgers blew out 16-4. But there was one thing actually. Also have to say what happened that day is the Dodgers moved Knebel to 60-day IL. Mike Kickham, his contract was purchased, so he ended up making his Dodgers debut. Wasn't great, but hey, when you're up 16-1, it got the job done, and it saved the important bullpen arm. So shout out to Mike Kickham for taking that one for the team. We appreciate it. Biggest thing for this outing to me, obviously, wasn't the offense because it didn't mean shit when we started the series against the Cubs. The biggest thing out of this outing for me was Urias' start. The importance of his outing cannot be overlooked with how taxed the bullpen was. For Urias to come out and go 7 innings and only give up 1 run and to keep this game incredibly, not keep it close. It was a blowout from the beginning, but to go out there and continue to pitch well and not like a lot of times you'll see starters get a little lazy on the mound, lose their command a bit because they're up by so many. Urias did not do that. He went in there, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, gave up 1 earned run on a home run, did not walk anybody and struck out 10. That was such a big outing for me because we did not need to go back into the bullpen. So being able to bring out Urias for 7 and then have Mike Kickham pitch the 8th and the 9th was the best case scenario that could have happened for the Dodgers bullpen. So like that was the biggest thing for me that stuck out. Obviously, as you talked about, we had the grand slams from Beatty and Pollock. That was Beatty's first career grand slam. And I think that was Pollock's first one since like 2015. So good for you, Pollock. Another couple things that stuck out, some notables for me that game that was Lux's first multi-hit game since the second game of the season. Big game for Taylor, who scored all 5 runs he reached every time on base, which I think might have tied or set a franchise record. Mookie, we talked about, he went 0 for 4 that day.
Shawn Green, I think.
Okay, yeah, because Shawn Green had that big game, the total bases game in Milwaukee too. Mookie, we talked about, he went 0 for 4, but man, Reyes at third base, that dude can play some defense. He robbed more than just Mookie, but he was making some solid plays. So Mookie realistically maybe goes 2 for 4 on the day, but goes 0 for 4, not a big deal. Hitting the ball hard, really all you can ask for. Then Monday rolls around. As we all know, there was a rain out, nothing going on there. Tuesday, that's where things just kind of fell apart. Unfortunately, we had everything going on in the first inning with Kershaw. Did not look like himself, especially walking Baez, who only had 1 walk on the entire year. Like that guy does not walk. But hey, we'll go back to Seager. You make the play that a big league shortstop should make. We wouldn't be there to begin with. So was it the first or second game you wanted to touch on?
It was second.
Okay. Second game. Yeah, go for it.
It was. So what was it? The Dodgers had a 3-1 lead in the 8th, 9th, 8th. I don't remember. One of the extra innings. So, like, this is zero disrespect to Mitch White because he's pitched pretty well out of the bullpen so far. But the man threw a 91 mile per hour fastball over the middle of the plate to Baez. That was not a smart choice. So, like you mentioned, Baez is a free swinger. He's notorious for chasing pitches out of the zone, so I'm not sure why you're throwing him a fastball over the plate. Why not throw a curveball or slider? It didn't make sense, especially with White, because he's thrown 18 sliders and hitters don't have a hit against it so far. So even if he throws the sliders, let's say Baez pulls it into left field for a hit, it's still 3-2 with 2 outs, and you have more room for air. I don't know if it was Smith's calling or White's call, but it was the wrong one. And this isn't even like a hindsight is 2020 thing, because Baez didn't start against Bauer because he would be fed a steady diet of sliders. So why would you not throw him a steady diet of sliders? Like, make him prove he can hit it, or make him take the pitches and take another walk. But he threw 2 fastballs instead, and one of them got sent to, obviously, for a home run to tie the game. Again, this is nothing against White. It was a bad call, and things obviously get magnified when a stretch like this has been so bad for the team.
Yeah, and that's part of the stuff that's like, I think he knew, like, as soon as he let go of that pitch, like, oh shit, you could kind of tell as soon as Baez made contact that was not going to go well for the Dodgers. That's the kind of stuff that we talk about, that hopefully with time it's kind of adjustments that'll be made. It's just, like you said, it's magnified so much in a time like this. But that was really all I had on games. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I want to touch on a few. Okay, so I don't want this to be reactionary. I know it's just a tough stretch, but I do want to talk about the Dodgers hitting coaches. Now, I'm not saying they should be fired, because they shouldn't, but there's a clear and obvious disconnect to me. This isn't even about results. It's more about approaching a game plan. I just don't see one whatsoever. Like, their philosophy right now it just seems to be all wrong. So it might be time to change some hitters' game plan to maybe be more aggressive. Now, obviously, it could backfire. I will admit that. And the pitcher will get through innings a lot quicker than they are now, because you won't work the counts as much since you're swinging pretty much at the first pitch. So not everyone needs to change. I think Turner's fine. Taylor's probably fine. But I wouldn't mind seeing everyone else kind of be a little more aggressive. I want Muncy to stop looking at pitches right down the middle. I want Lux to swing at the first pitch. I want Best to swing at the first pitch. So, and like, they might not even result in hits, but I feel like the first pitch, for now, you're more likely to get the best pitch you'll see. And once you start doing that and you're getting hits, then just stop throwing like first pitch right down the middle or first pitch in the zone. And you can start trying to go back to being more conservative with your approach at the plate. But for now, I would like to see a more aggressive approach and people to start swinging the bat. I think Lux is being actually aggressive at the plate. Didn't get a hit in the second game, but again, he's being aggressive, and it's been 3 games since he struck out, so thank goodness for that. Oh
God. No.
So the thing with him is, and I think I texted you, is he said that he gets in a space where he speeds up his load and gather, and he causes him not to see pitches, which sounds terrible. So if you want to send him down to Oklahoma City so he can figure that out and he doesn't have to think about his mechanics, he can just go out there and swing the bat, that would be great. I mean, he's had a pretty good 3 games where he hasn't struck out, and I'm sure he swung and missed, but it hasn't been as much as it used to be. So some good signs there, but I would like to see a more aggressive approach from everybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind sending Lux down, because I would be, just with how much he tore it up in AAA in 2019, and there was no 2020 season to send him down to. It could be very interesting to see how he would go if you gave him a week or 2 at OKC. He
also did say that he looked back at film from AA, AAA in 2019 just to look at his mechanics and approach, and he's trying to incorporate that now. So a couple games, I mean, he's had a good couple games, so we'll see if it continues to be.
I just feel like it's hard to do without without McKinstry, like someone to legitimately replace him for the time being. Plus, that infield defense with Seager has been so awful, and Lux has been so good, that I'm like, God, if we take away some good defense, I'm very worried about how that infield will look. So that's like my biggest concern. But
decent defensively, but he hasn't really been all that good on the infield defense if
No,
you look
he's
at it.
yeah.
So
That's where him
yeah,
and Kike always differed. Taylor was always the
yeah,
better outfielder. Kike was always the better infielder.
yeah.
Um,
And we've
but
seen Taylor make infield errors this year, so yeah.
yeah, we are closing in on about an hour.
Okay. I did want to. I mean, I guess it's really not that important, but I did want to run through really quickly what I saw in yesterday's minor league games, just for the hell of it, because it was kind of fun, especially because the Dodgers aren't fun at all.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is just like a minor update for a few top prospects. Bobby Miller went 3 innings in his debut, striking out 5, gave up 2 hits, no runs. He walked 1. He did get squeezed on the walk on some real close pitches that probably should have gave him another strikeout. Either way, it's a very good start for him. He was hitting 97, 98 on the 4-seamer. He got the 2-seamer to move back over the inside corners to lefties, much like you saw from Sonny Gray that he did to the Dodgers in their last Red Series. His changeup kept finding itself up in the zone, but the hitter still couldn't touch it. So the command of the changeup and curve need to improve, but Miller was super impressive. Michael Busch did not have a good debut at all. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He was swinging through all fastballs, but it's just one bad game, so I'm not really going to hold it against him. Hosey went 0 for 4 with a strikeout, but he was robbed of a hit in the first inning by a nice play by the third baseman. He also hit a slow roller to the shortstop, who made a nice play, so he could have easily had 2 hits. Jacob Amaya hit a home run to tie the game at 3 in the late innings. I want to say he had some really impressive at-bats. Well, actually, I think I might be more impressed with Jared Kendall's at-bats. That's wild to think about. But Amaya did really well. Jim Callis of MLB.com said, as of now, Amaya has the best bat-to-ball skills in the organization, and he's the best defensive infield prospect in the Dodger organization and second best in the organization behind Jaron Kendall. Jake Vogel was another first-round pick. Didn't have a hit, but he swung through a lot of pitches. But he also drove one to deep center that the center fielder made a nice play on. He also walked and stole a base, so already showing off his speed, which is nice. Jaron Kendall walked like 2 or 3 times and only swung and missed a few times. I don't think he struck out. So considering he's someone who strikes out, I don't know, 50% of the time, and his chase rate's bad and his whiff rate is terrible, I think that was, I'm playing one game, but to see him walk was nice.
Yeah. I was not actively watching any of the games because I couldn't figure out how to, and I wasn't going to pay for it. But you kept me updated on Miller. I checked the box score of some of the other ones. I'm excited about Miller and excited for AAA to start tomorrow night. Got to see how my guy Josiah Gray's doing because I really want to see him do well. So quick minor league update there. And then very quickly, some injury updates. Bellinger went to Arizona to continue rehab, and Robert said he was trending in the right direction. Again, very weird injury. Bellinger has been told by multiple people that one day he will just wake up and the bone is healed. So it is very hard to decide when he will be back. Joe Kelly, a lot of information came out this last week. He's been pitching at the alternate site and is expected to return sometime mid-May. So we found out why he hasn't been pitching. I actually told you about the cyst months ago when I found out about it. I had been told that Joe Kelly had surgery for a cyst being removed from his arm sometime back last year. And it's something you and I both talked about when it came to players' health and surgery. That was nothing we were ever going to mention on the podcast until either the player or the team publicly spoke on it, because that just wasn't something I wanted us to be the ones breaking the news for. And I will tell you right now, I had no idea that it was this damn bad. It was definitely not told to me that we found out he could only use 50% of his muscles in his shoulder. And for some reason, they kept throwing him out there. He had a massive cyst removed from his throwing arm in the offseason that was compressing a nerve and only allowed him to use 50% of his muscles in his shoulder. And this was found while he was serving his 8-game suspension last year. So the team found this and continued to have him pitch. And Kelly even said,
you think that's why he wasn't throwing his fastball?
Yeah, he said that he only hit 95 in the interview that I read. It said he only hit 95 on the World Series, and he was literally out there throwing pitches that he did not know where the ball was going to go because of the nerve damage and because of the muscle. And for some reason, the team kept throwing him out there. I don't understand it. I don't know what the thought process was there. It makes zero sense. He said it felt like fire ants were eating his arm from the inside out. And a lot of people were like, why didn't we find this out? Why was the team so sketchy about it? We didn't find out because Joe Kelly didn't want the public finding out about it. The Dodgers were not being sketchy. The Dodgers were not being quiet. The Dodgers were respecting what the player wanted. And I can be okay with that and happy with that, because someone else from the Boston media, because he did speak to the Boston radio station, made a really good point. The fact that a professional athlete's surgery was kept quiet for 5 months is insane. Like, that takes a lot of teamwork from people very close to know that much info and to know that a player had surgery and for it to never leak. So that's big kudos for the Dodgers for protecting their player like that. That's how it should be. Joe Kelly did not want people to feel like he was making up excuses for why he was not good in the playoffs or even really good in 2020 to begin with. So all the respect to him. It would be so great to get him back, and because we all know the bullpen needs it. He is expected back sometime in mid-May. We don't know exactly when. It could be the end of this road trip with the Angels. He's been throwing in simulated games against the Padres minor leaguers, totaling about 6 outings, with each appearance resulting in a couple of strikeouts, and his two-seam is registering in the high 90s. So good news there. We could use him because
I wouldn't mind. I know if he would just, I don't know, throw him in the Double A game or something, since they're playing. I wouldn't mind that for a few outings and then bring him up. I think that'd be nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in an OKC game or something like that. But he's definitely needed because Brusdar Graterol went back on the 10-day IL with right forearm tightness. Good news for us finally as Dodger fans, the MRI came back negative, so it doesn't seem like there's any structural damage going on like that.
But also they said that they don't know when he's going to pick up a baseball again.
Yeah, so. He hasn't thrown a baseball, so there is still some negative news. He's not throwing a baseball, and we don't know when he will, but at least the MRI came back negative, because forearm tightness is usually like, oh, hey, Tommy John. So that was great that did not come back, at least not yet. So gotta keep trying to stay positive as much as possible with this team. Tony Gonsolin, we briefly touched on him. He threw a 20-pitch bullpen session recently in Arizona. I don't know why none of this is being reported to like a week after the fact, especially when these arms are needed. Like the Kelly thing, how did no one know that he's been in outings? I don't know why that has not been mentioned by anyone until he spoke to a Boston radio station. But Gonsolin is expected to be about 3 to 4 weeks. Team does not plan on bringing him back until he's built up as a starter for 5 innings, 75 pitches. As for David Price, we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks for recovery for a hamstring strain. They said not looking to bring him back as a starter either, even with Dustin May gone. So he will still be a bullpen long relief option. And then
wait, I missed that. He's still 4 to 6 weeks away?
Yep.
Somebody lied to me. Who is it?
I don't know.
I think it was John Morosi. John Morosi said something about Price is going to be back soon.
No. Roberts said that even though he's a pitcher, running isn't needed as much for the hamstring, but that they're still expecting 4 to 6 weeks. So that's not great. And then to finish you off with some,
you know what, John Morosi's coming up to be like John Heyman to me. Anyway,
I'm starting to think a lot of baseball reporters are just like, it's all about be first, not accurate, and it's really tiresome. But here's an accurate report on you that I don't think anyone was really like thinking about, but not a great thing. Brandon Morrow will not be pitching for the Dodgers in 2021. Basically his season is done. They said there's about 0 chance he comes back. He hasn't pitched an MLB game since 2021. So obviously contract doesn't mean anything. It's whatever, but it's just the fact that it was like, damn, we thought we might have a bullpen option. That is no longer a bullpen option.
Yeah.
So Dodgers are going to
say next year, should they be healthy, that bullpen is going to be fire.
Yeah, I'm excited for guys like Canely. We should get Ferguson back off his Tommy John, and he was looking damn
maybe
good.
They resign Knable, maybe.
And couple good things eventually. Don't know where we'll end this year, but I have a feeling we're going to be saying some moves made, whether it's guys moving up in the system. I don't know so much about that, but there's going to be good old, at least this year with all these injuries happening, we have a full season ahead of us, which means a trade deadline. We will get to see guys throw for 3 or 4 months. It'll make trades a lot easier than it did last year. So that's really all we can hope for.
So I don't think the bullpen, there's a lot of injuries, but I don't think they're that far away. If Gonzalez can clean up his command a little bit, I think Clevenger has looked pretty decent. Vesey probably should be up here. I think Mitch White, minus the one mistake, has been decent. I think they are close to being good enough to get them by and stop blowing games.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know how much I like that philosophy going into October. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it's gonna hit for the whole season. I'm just saying
yeah,
for
no,
now.
they're very close to just getting by.
Yeah.
Gonzalez has looked a little bit better. That was actually a big thing we saw in last night's game when he came in to pitch. Oh God, what inning was it? Thought I wrote it down. But he had that inning. Oh yeah, he did. He came in after when
Bauer?
Rizzo let off. Yeah, Rizzo let off the bottom of the fifth with a leadoff triple, and then
Taylor should have caught it.
Bauer got I think Taylor should have caught that too. Bauer got the fly out, then his day was over, and Gonzalez came in to pitch and got 2 outs and stranded the triple. So that was really big for me. I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're close. We're getting there. Bellinger is going to be a big one back when you have that threat in the lineup, and it'll also move Muncy out of that cleanup spot. So that'll be huge there.
Regardless of what Bellinger does, he's going to swing the bat.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, that'll just also help out the defense, get you out there in center field, and we'll get Taylor wherever they can fit him in, get him out in left field. Pollock's bat's been great, but he's still a little rough to watch run to some of those balls in left field.
He gets there, but
yeah, he gets there very
I'm just like
very uncomfortably. He gets there. It makes me nervous anytime he has to run for a ball down the line. So that was all I had.
The DH. Immediately.
Yeah, next year. I don't want baseball starting next year until there's a DH, because I swear to God, if we go another CBA without a DH, like, I don't know if I'm going to be okay with that. And 2 years ago, I never ever would have said that. So a lot has happened in this last year, and hopefully we continue to see improvements with the game, because hey, offense is sucking. If you guys think offense sucks, it's freaking awful around baseball right now. Baseball is all-time worst offense ever. There was like 1,000 more strikeouts than there was hits in April. So don't worry, it's not just the Dodgers. Everybody's sucking. Things will turn, especially with warmer weather.
Except for Chris Bryant, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, I mean, the superstars are doing their things. Mookie and Seager, we're going to need you guys to catch up to that train, because the superstars.
Jacob deGrom apparently is Barry Bonds. That's cool too.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom does everything.
He has to help himself, though, to be honest. So
he's not
it's
fair.
okay.
Well, yeah, when he's got that crappy lineup. But yeah. So usually this is the part where we would go into the MLB news, which we will still be getting to you guys. Ray is going to record that separately for us because, like I said, he is not here because we had to change around our schedule and he had to get to work. So he will go ahead and catch you guys up on all of that.
To start the MLB news, we have the MLB Players of the Month. MLB announced that Ronald Acuna Jr. in the National League and Byron Buxton in the American League are the Players of the Month. For pitchers, it is Jacob deGrom, who yesterday was scratched with right lat inflammation. He is probable to start Sunday, so no IL stint for deGrom. And Garrett Cole is the American League winner, despite Carlos Rodon having a near-perfect game, and also Musgrove, but deGrom's really good in the National League, so I understand there. Rookies of the Month, Trevor Rogers, the left-handed starter for the Marlins, and Yermin Mercedes, who is still currently second in the Major League batting title race behind Mike Trout for the Chicago White Sox. And relievers of the month are Mark Melancon of the San Diego Padres and Matt Barnes of the Boston Red Sox, NL and AL, respectively. Injury news, Travis d'Arnaud is on the 60-day IL for the Braves with a left thumb ligament tear. He tore it in a tagging play. He is expected to be out for most of the season. Joey Votto today on Wednesday is expected to be out about a month with a fractured left thumb that he sustained on a hit by pitch today from Dallas Keuchel. Luis Robert, the young Chicago White Sox outfielder, is out 3 to 4 months with a torn right hip flexor. So that is a long absence for him, and the White Sox definitely need an outfielder now with him and Jimenez both on the shelf. Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain returned on Monday. Keston Hiura was one of the two players optioned down for him, and Christian Yelich landed back on the IL yesterday with a back injury. Amir Garrett has been assessed a 7-game suspension for his role in the benches clearing incident where Javi Baez hopped over the railing and he was simply pitching with emotion. He is appealing that suspension. And today, Wednesday, John Means threw the 4th no-hitter, unofficial/official no-hitter of the season. He had for the Baltimore Orioles over the Seattle Mariners, who seemed to get no-hit a lot. He had 27 up and 27 down. Now, why is that not a perfect game? That is because his was the only no-hitter in history, as far as we know, that was broken up by a wild pitch strikeout. That runner was thrown out stealing, though, so he did face the minimum today. It is the first individual no-hitter for the Orioles since 1969 when Jim Palmer threw one. The Orioles do have a combined no-hitter in the interim in 1991. And a really awesome story to cap off this week. Drew Robinson, he made the opening day AAA roster for the Giants with the Sacramento River Cats just over a year after losing his right eye in a suicide attempt. And it's just an amazing testament to his fights and his recovery from, a very dark place in his life. And amazing that with one eye he can still be competitive and make a AAA roster. So hats off to him, and a great story with all that's going wrong with the Dodgers and injuries to really great players this year so far. So great story. And that's it for MLB news this week. And remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Stingray417.
That was all I had for this week. Was that it for you?
Yep, that's it.
And so, like always, we appreciate you guys checking in and giving this a listen. Share the podcast with your family, friends. Leave us a rating and review if you haven't already on Apple. You can find us on social at Dodger Yard on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that good stuff. You can find me at Randy_Radcliffe on Twitter and Instagram.
You can go to allmylinks.com/Konu, KONU, and find my social medias on there. Also, if you guys care, you can go to dodgeryard.com because I will be uploading some updates on some minor leaguers after the first week, just to give you an update on how they're doing week one into the minor league season.
We've also got player recaps for you guys, as well as some game recaps. So go ahead, check those out. And then you can check out our other podcasts, Neighbor Ball and the LA Dodger Dog Show as well. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in and hope you have a good rest of your morning, night, afternoon, weekend, whatever day it is. And hopefully the Dodgers can get it together and we can enjoy some baseball here very, very soon. So, other than that, have a great day, guys.
Offense, you guys want to show up for a consistent period of time?
Yeah, one game? That'd be fun. It's getting a little boring over here. That's my biggest thing is I am just not having fun. It is not fun right now to watch baseball. Get it together. Give us something to watch. This team's too good to be playing baseball like this. It's going to turn around. It's just a matter of when. So hopefully by next week we can have some.
I am actually probably going to end up skipping today's game and just watch it tomorrow. I'm going to watch something that's going to make me happy. So I'm going to watch AA baseball today.
Good. So maybe they'll win.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they'll win. I don't care.
The last time I didn't watch, they did end up losing, but Mookie had a leadoff home run, so that was cool.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in this one. But as always, we will make sure to catch you guys next week. And like I said, hopefully have some more fun baseball stuff to talk about. But other than that, as always, we appreciate you guys, and we'll catch y'all next week. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.